Now, private school teachers and the National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools have appealed to the federal government to expand the scope of the Teacher Survival Fund in order to accommodate more teachers. Now, the private school teachers are making the appeal due to the increasing number of positive cases of COVID-19 and the possibility of another lockdown. Godwin Agwam reports.
Sit down. You're welcome this morning.
The welfare of teachers, be it private or public, are to be prioritized, given the onerous role of nurturing younger generation for the future. The outbreak of the COVID-19 exposed the sad fact that private school teachers have not been given the required aid to stay afloat during national emergencies. I took a visit to the homes of some private school teachers for first-hand knowledge of their travels during the first wave. The home of Patricia John is my first point of call. While she walked me through to her apartment, I told her the essence of my story. As a mother of 3 children, she tells me the lockdown during the first wave hit her family.
They want to survive.
She was forced to resort to home lessons as her husband, who is an artisan, could not operate his shop at that time.
It wasn't a sweet experience because nobody planned for it. We are taking unaware. Initially, we were thinking that it will last for about maybe a week or 2 or so. But when it's prolonged, we find that it's prolonged. So it became difficult because my husband, being a kind of, is an repairs electronics, and he must go out to work before we eat, and then salary is not coming from my own side.
Blessing John is an undergraduate. She shares her resentment on her mother's job in the face of the pandemic.
Apart from my mom being a private school teacher, their own source of income is not sure. They depend on the school fees the children pay to pay their teachers. So if the student doesn't pay school fees, the teachers won't get paid, and their families at home to get fed by the
But for her, the lockdown during the first wave earned her a new skill, sewing. This is one of the gains of the coronavirus pandemic. For Blessing John, who is an undergraduate, she learned how to sew during the lockdown of the first wave. We proceed to the home of Sunday Eze, who is angry with the situation. For him, another lockdown would be a disaster for private school teachers if government does not intervene.
Which I laid my hand on, which was able to sustain me for that period. But I don't know, because then I remember vividly where some of my colleagues, then sometimes I do see them on the road doing 1 or 2 things to survive. I even saw one that was hawking this cashew nut and all that just to make sure she survived. And seriously, like I said, it was indeed a strange ordeal, which I won't wish it ever repeat itself again.
Proprietors of private schools say they are handicapped and cannot pay salaries during lockdowns.
Basically, it's because of the source of generating this salary is not there, which is from the pupils or the students. So as long as the students are not in school, there's no way a school owner will be able to generate salary to pay the teachers.
They want the federal government to expand the scope of the Teacher Survival Fund to accommodate more teachers during national emergencies.
Within last year, April, the government came out with a policy of teachers support grant, which they were expected to pay teachers for three months. But as I speak to you now, some are captured, some are not captured. And the worst thing is that the money, instead of coming to the school that know this staff, who has captured this staff, the money is directed to the individual teacher's account.
I will personally appeal to the federal government. Instead of these survival fund to be paid to schools, I would rather prefer that every teacher's account details should be collected so that this money will be paid into the account, no matter how small.
My advice to teachers like me is that you don't depend on the salary. It's just like you putting all your hope on a particular channel for resources. It's the last one have really taught us a lesson, because some of our colleagues, some of them learned a lot of things to do. Some were even frying this akara beans cake, selling by the roadside, because they want to survive.
The Nasarawa state government plans to review its laws to ensure that only schools with financial capacity to stand during emergencies are allowed to operate.
What we're looking at is, before we issue license to any operator to open a school and operate one for that matter, there must be evidence of financial capacity to run the school. So we are expecting that at least the proprietors of these schools should be able to give some form of palliatives to their teachers.
As Nigeria continues to record increasing number of confirmed cases of coronavirus pandemic, the federal government might be contemplating enforcing another lockdown. But what would be the fate of private school teachers who had lived from hand to mouth during the first wave? Godwin Agwam, TVC News, Lafia.